Welcome to rSlash Prorevenge, where OP destroys a bully's life over $200. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. It was 1994 in a chain grocery store with a truly awful manager who was straight out of business school. He was also the regional office director's son, so he was basically made of Teflon. Anything that went wrong got pinned on his assistant manager and/or her husband up to the regional level. This bad manager had also somehow installed his mistress as one of the assistant managers. I only ever saw her in the store twice, and both times she was shopping. One of the times, she didn't even pay. Bad manager paid no attention to people's time constraints. We had a bunch of teenagers there who were attending summer school, but he didn't care. He scheduled us however he wanted and then left us to swap shifts among ourselves. I personally saw him tell one girl that she'd have to miss school because he needed her on shift and she couldn't find coverage, which is crazy illegal. He just didn't care about the law. His belief was that if the computer would accept it, then it was fine. It was the early days of computerized payroll, so the system would take literally anything with no checks. He made the teenagers work hours they legally couldn't. I'm talking too late or too early and tons of overtime. If they complained, he threatened to fire them. That was his answer to everything, and work wasn't easy to come by in that area. There were teenagers in tears because he wouldn't let them take time for family vacations or they were being forced to miss tests at school. One guy was fired because he went to his sister's wedding. He had warned bad manager about it months in advance, and it was a holiday weekend, so nobody could swap. Bad manager was very rarely, if ever, in his store for the entire shift. He'd clock in, get a few really important things done, and then leave. He'd come back in the middle of his shift to do the bank deposits, then be gone again until it was time to clock out. He would assign all of his work to the latest fall guy assistant manager or other random employees. If he was the only manager on duty, he would leave his badge behind for overrides on the desk in the office so that we could grab it when we needed to override register errors. All of this was massively against company policy. So our grocery store chain was pretty obsessed with mystery shopper reports and got them directly from the company that did that stuff. We would get all kinds of conflicting instructions as a result, which was fun. Also, for pros like us, it was trivially easy to spot mystery shoppers. They'd go straight to the bakery to price out a special order cake, then not buy it, and then complain about the price or ask a couple of super common questions. They also went to the bathroom, the fish counter, asked for a price check, and made us unring something they decided they didn't want during checkout. There were other things on the list, but those are the obvious ones I remember all these years later. So my last week working there, I spotted a blatant mystery shopper complete with a notepad. The bad manager wasn't in the store, the mistress was probably busy banging him, and the other assistant manager had been fired because of the bad manager's last screw-up. And the only other cashier on shift was at lunch. It was pretty empty inside the store because it was late morning, so no big deal. Except I decided it was finally time to get my bad manager reported. When the mystery shopper came up with a price check item, I forgot to hit the price check button and rang it up for real. Whoops, time to go get the manager's override badge. I overrode it. Then I tossed that bad boy so hard that it went all the way across the manager's desk and down into a sea of cables behind in the corner. Whoops! I'm quite sure that if you reviewed the security footage, this would look incredibly intentional. It was my last week and I just didn't care. Then our other cashier, Jenny, got back from her lunch break and I told her that things were about to get real. I told her she might want to go home sick if she wanted some cover. Nah, Jenny giggled and wanted a front row seat. Besides, the lunch rush was coming. We started to get the lunch rush around the time that the mystery shopper made it up to the register to check out. Of course, she needed me to unring something from her checklist. So I flipped on the I need assistance light above my checkout counter. Nothing happened. I called for the bad manager over the intercom using his first name and last name. Jenny caught on real fast and told me to just go get the badge from the office. She said the manager must be doing a money drop or something. I pointed out to Jenny that that was against company policy. She rolled her eyes and told me that that's what manager such and such had said to do. Now, where was that override badge? I went up to the office and made a good show of looking for it. I called down to Jenny asking if she had it, But nope. Jenny abandoned the big order that she was ringing up and came up to the little office to give a cursory look around. This is where the whole story took a turn that I hadn't quite predicted. See, I was just going to give the mystery shopper a very bad experience with many violations to report. Then there would have been an embarrassing reaming from the higher-ups and possibly even an investigation. Jenny had other plans. Jenny was going nuclear. Jenny apologized to the mystery shopper and explained to the shopper that she was going to have to get in Jenny's line next. I couldn't void the transaction, and I can't log into 2 registers at once, so all I could do was help move the mystery shopper stuff to Jenny's lane, and Jenny would get to the mystery shopper as soon as she could. Now, this is basically BS. While what I said is technically true, we all knew how to unplug the register to get them to reset and log us out. It was a dumb hack, but it worked. The thing is, there was basically zero chance that Bad Manager or the mystery shopper knew about that. This mystery shopper must have loved her mystery shopping job because she was the most cheerful, screwed over customer that you've ever seen. She smiled, assured us everything was fine, and scribbled in her notebook the whole time. Literally, while I'm loading up the mystery shopper's card at my register, Jenny accidentally rang up a gallon of milk about 6 times. Whoops! No override card, no manager, no hid cashier with any power either, thanks to cost-saving cuts that Bad Manager made in his early days before I arrived. We apologized profusely to the customers, but explained that we had no idea where the Bad Manager was. We offered to go check the back of the store. We sent a bag boy out to check the parking lot just in case Bad Manager was on a smoke break. No joy. As this fiasco rolled on, we had a lot of very unhappy customers on our hands, and the downright giddy mystery shopper who stayed till the bitter end. They demanded that we call a manager. We tried calling our Bad Manager at every number we knew for him. Then the customers demanded that we contact whoever's above him. Oh, that's the regional office. We're not allowed to call them. We have very strict instructions from our Bad Manager that we can't call them, which is technically true. However, we can give you Regional's number. The phone's right over there. Many angry customers took advantage of this. We also got yelled at a lot. Honestly, we felt sympathy for these customers, but me and Jenny were loving every second of it. Regional took about 2 hours to get somebody down to the store who could clear the registers. Nobody else in the store had permission to use that system. Our Bad Manager still hadn't shown up. The regional higher-up overrode the registers, but by then, the damage was done. We'd missed the whole lunch rush. No hot food was sold. Our metrics for the day were going to be unbelievably bad. The regional dude was on the phone, frantically trying to figure out how to cover this mess up for his boss, who, coincidentally, is the Bad Manager's father. And he just decided to blame it on a computer outage. I think the guy even intentionally broke some equipment to help sell that story. Bad Manager rolled in after I clocked out, but I'm told that the regional dude was still there doing Bad Manager's job at the time. Bad Manager was unbearable for the next couple of days, but I already had my foot out the door. Jenny, as it turned out, simply didn't care because she'd been doing the work of a head cashier without the extra pay. It took a few weeks for the fallout to happen, and you bet I kept in touch with Jenny to find out. Apparently, an audit team from National came down to investigate. The story from the mystery shopper, whom the regional guy didn't even know about, hadn't lined up with the computer outage story. And something was obviously fishy here. The audit team dug into the books and found all the labor violations for minors working overtime and too early and too late. They interviewed the employees and found out that students had been scheduled during school. They also discovered the manager being absent every single day, as well as him never allowing people to take vacation. Also, the store was constantly short-staffed. No kidding, employees ran for the hills the second they got a better job. They also discovered that an assistant manager was on payroll full-time, but nobody had ever seen her work. She clocked in and out within seconds of the Bad Manager every shift that he worked, but was never there. Those dots are not hard to connect. As a result, Bad Manager, his mistress, and Bad Manager's father were all fired or resigned quietly. The store reportedly went back to being pretty functional after that. Jenny got a better job and left within the year. I never worked retail again. Our next Reddit post is from Straight Trade. So this whole debacle started in my freshman year of college. I went to a religious college, so there were a lot of really strict rules regarding curfew and punishments for not going to mandatory worships. This comes into play later. So I'm not a physically imposing young lady. I'm just under 5 feet tall, and I'm 100 pounds soaking wet and wearing cinder block shoes. At the time, I had recently been dumped, so I was starting college practically alone because my ex and I were set to go to the same university, but he dropped out to join military school. Since this was a religious school, we had a sort of camp out in the week or two before classes started. It was meant to be a getting to know you kind of thing, and we had things called family groups. In one of these groups, there was a loud, overly friendly girl named Sam. Sam was the same ethnicity as me, so we quickly bonded over a shared ethnic background and how similar we were. Sam had a boyfriend in the Army, and I lamented my single status and how my ex basically ditched me for the Navy. Sam seemed perfect, sympathetic, social, and fun. I warmed up to our family group with the help of my new best friend, Sam. We had a great weekend, and we got to know others in the group, including Jess. Jess was quiet and disinterested, with a classic case of resting bee face. But eventually, she warmed up to me and I to her. Sam didn't really like Jess, but you wouldn't know that unless Sam told you. The first sign that something was off with Sam was during dinner. I was sitting with Jess and her friend from high school, Andy. He and I really hit it off. But as my heart was still freshly broken, I kept some boundaries up but agreed to go watch a movie when we got back from the trip. Immediately, Sam pulled up a chair and was all over him, asking about his past, how he and Jess met, what he thought about her outfit, and on and on. I was a little miffed, but I just ate my burrito. For the rest of the trip, Andy and I were hardly apart, and Sam got more and more passive-aggressive with me, bringing up my ex and how I was moving on too quickly. I believed Sam, and I canceled my date with Andy, and I said that I didn't want him to just be a rebound. He was understanding and chill with just being friends, which was a blessing for me, but seemingly not good enough for Sam. After the trip was over, I decided to show them around the city since I was a local student. While the others put their stuff in their rooms, Sam asked me to stay behind because she had to confess something to me. She started spewing BS about how Andy had cornered her outside the cabin and was being a pervert and telling her how beautiful she was and so on and so forth. I told her I was skeptical, but she said, "I'm just looking out for you, girly." I just decided to ignore what she said and have a good time in the city. A couple of weeks go by. Andy, Jess, and I became a little squad of sorts because our schedules matched up. However, finding time to hang out with Sam was a bit more difficult. This all came to a head when Jess and Andy planned a little trip to the local Benihana place and didn't invite Sam. Sam found out via social media and flew off the handle. I had gone home for that weekend, and when I came back on Monday, I was greeted with drama, tears, and accusations. The gist of the situation is the group didn't invite Sam because she's a vegetarian and has a lot of allergies, so it would be dangerous to even step foot in Benihana. And in retaliation, Sam took her best friends, aka random girls from the dorm, horseback riding and posted a photo with the caption, "Better than Benihana." So when I got back to school, things were pretty frosty. I asked for some backstory, and apparently Andy and Jess went out with work friends, so it wasn't even their place to invite someone else. And it wasn't like she'd be able to eat anything at the Benihana anyways, so they literally didn't even think they were being rude. According to Sam, they were purposefully excluding her, and that no one likes her, and that this was just like high school. Sam didn't have many friends, and we were just coming to understand why exactly that was. The third incident was friendship bracelets. Sam ordered these semi-expensive bracelets for me and Jess, but apparently Jess's bracelet broke in the mail and the replacement would totally come any day now. Jess pretended not to be hurt, but it obviously stung when Sam would fawn over our bracelets and how we're such great friends. Spoiler, Jess's bracelet never came. Now, as I was trying to smooth things over, it kept getting worse and worse. If I hung out with Andy or Jess, Sam just wouldn't speak to me. And when we were alone, she would only talk trash about them. During all this, Andy and I kept getting closer and eventually started dating, but we did it low-key because of the whole situation with Sam, and we didn't want to set her off. I know, we were spineless. Now for the catalyst for the revenge. Sam was a wannabe YouTuber and wanted to do a holiday video. Andy is a film major, but he didn't want anything to do at all with Sam and her lies and petty behavior. But then she made an offer that we couldn't refuse. I'll give you $200 and pay for your food. All that for what should have just been 1 or 2 hours of filming, so we were sold. I was in charge of setting up the site and Andy was in charge of filming. Andy worked so hard on it. He storyboarded, he made a script for her, he got all of his equipment together. I was so proud of him. I contacted the diner where we'd be filming and we got everything together and we were set. Filming day arrives, and we get our hair and makeup done for the actors and actresses, and we get to the diner an hour early, at Sam's insistence, and set up. She says she'll be 30 minutes late, so we decide to eat after shooting some B-roll. Guess how long it took her entourage to arrive? 2 whole hours. We finally get to filming, and if you're counting, at this point we've been at the diner for 4 hours pre-filming. We spend another 2 hours filming, and we have to take after pics in our outfits and everything. Did Sam pay for our food? Nope. Also, she tells Andy, "You've got a big payday coming. You deserve more than $200 for today." Andy's happy, but of course, Sam didn't pay up. So a week or 2 goes by, and it gets closer and closer to holiday, and we already turned over all the footage and we're just waiting for the payment. Then came the excuses. I don't trust Zelle. I'm waiting for my auntie to pay me. My aunt's in the Caribbean right now, and she doesn't trust Zelle either. We kept hounding her for the money, and the holiday came and went. She posted the video we made and then just stopped answering texts. Since we all lived together, I confronted her and I got more excuses. Then she said, "Give me 2 more weeks." During those 2 weeks, she told everyone who would listen that she had already paid us and that we're terrible people who were trying to extort her for more. Now, by this point, we were fed up with Sam, and Andy was ready to write off the $200. He complains to his smoking buddies, who then spread our side of the story throughout the school, and pretty soon she doesn't have a leg to stand on. Then Sam gets nasty, texting me all this BS about how Andy is cheating on me and that I deserve better, and screenshots of their conversations where he supposedly tells her how he'd rather not be committed. Now, early on, Andy and I did have some commitment issues, but Sam tried to present these texts as recent, not stuff from months ago. The final straw was when Sam called me stupid and naive for staying in the relationship despite him being a greedy man whore. At this point, I was ready to go scorched earth. For some background on Sam, Sam was a chronic cheater, like get drunk at a party and give a guy a BJ cheater. Then go out the next weekend and do it again. She was also married. She and her husband got married right out of high school, which is typical of Army guys in my experience. The ink wasn't even dry on the marriage certificate, less than a year when she burned us. Also, she chose to confide all of her secrets in me because she thought that I was too stupid to see through her act. So I gathered the evidence, all the cheating, the videos of her doing stunts at parties, sex with various guys, the drinking binges, and her trash-talking her loving Army boyfriend. I gathered all this information for more than a year. I felt horrible for her husband, but I needed a file that would damn her to legal hell. D-Day arrived, when about 1.5 years after I met her, she told me that she thought her husband was cheating because when he was deployed, she found a video on his phone of him and his buddy dancing on some girls in a club. Sam was livid. She was cursing and swearing that she would take him for every cent in court for cheating on her. Never mind that she was blowing guys for fun every other weekend. I asked her if she had proof, and she said that proof doesn't matter because they always believe the hurt wife. I compiled all my evidence and wrote a very long apology letter for waiting this long, and I sent it to her husband anonymously. Sam didn't return to school the next year, and I kinda lost track of her. I got reminded of her when my fiance showed me that terrible video we did for her. Then I confessed to him what I did, and we stalked her social media accounts. She now posts a lot of single and loving it memes, and she has a few vlogs talking about fake friends and how simple living is the best. I guess that's a consequence of losing her luxurious rich girl lifestyle that her husband's family provided for her. Looking at her ex-husband's account, he has a beautiful wife and a baby on the way, looking way happier than I'd ever seen him. So yeah, don't be a B-word and short people $200. It'll cost you your husband, your cushy lifestyle, your respect, and 1 year of untransferable credits at an incredibly expensive school. That was r/Prorevenge, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.